Good evening, fellow students and Dr. Stout. I hope everybody is enjoying the last week of our little Merry Mister class. It's definitely been a little bit difficult, more difficult than I anticipated. I'm sure some of you were expecting it to be a little more simple. So, today I would like to speak to you a little bit about life after death. The purpose of my speech is to persuade you to believe in life after death. Um, Many of the world's religions have similar beliefs about life after death and the afterlife. There have been people who have died and been revived and been able to recount their experiences of death and what they saw on the other side. So I would like to talk about that. And also, I would like to relay the scientific facts that prove that at least a part of us exists forever. Um, I would like to quote something from William Shakespeare's Hamlet. To die, to sleep, perchance dream. There's a rub, for in the sleep of death, what dreams may come. The purpose of my speech, like I said, is to persuade you all to believe in the afterlife. I grew up in a very religious family, a very conservative Christian family. So obviously, I believe in the afterlife. I believe in heaven. I believe in hell. But not until 2020, April 2020, when my grandmother passed away, I became extremely fascinated about the process and what happens after death and where you go. What happens? Where do we go? What do we see? So I started doing research, digging into various religions, what they teach about the subject, and also testimonies about people, people who have died and were revived, what they said they saw. And it prompted me to search scientifically. So that's what I want to talk about. So many of the world's religions, like I said, beliefs regarding the situation, the afterlife, are similar, such as Islam and Christianity. They both have a similar teaching. If you live a moral life, if your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds, then you will go to heaven, what the Christians call heaven. And Islam, they have another name called Jannah, or it's Jannah. So both of these religions based off the Abrahamic law. That's the first 5 books of the Bible, I believe. That's they're very similar in those two ways. They Islam also teaches that if your bad deeds outweigh your good deeds, then you go to a place called I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Jahannam, and that is the equivalent of Christianity's hell. Now, when it comes to Buddhism and Hinduism, these are two of the oldest religions of the world, and they're very similar. They both believe in something called samsara, and that is what they describe as the cycle of birth, death, and reincarnation. They believe through the process of becoming enlightened, you eventually are born as a human and you have the opportunity to reach an enlightened state referred to by the Buddhist as nirvana, and only through this enlightened state would you be allowed to escape this cycle of reincarnation and go on to the afterlife. And with Buddhism and Hinduism, they're both very similar. Hinduism also believes um, in reaching the level of enlightenment to break the cycle of reincarnation. So, just about every religion teaches that you're either going to another realm or that you come back through the cycle of reincarnation, reborn as something new. So I would like to talk. Also, secondly, I would like to talk to you about um, the the neurologist. He was in a coma for over a week, and he also wrote a book. His name is Dr. Eben Alexander. He was a a neurosurgeon, and he wrote the book Proof of Heaven, a neurologist's journey into the afterlife. And in this book, he describes what was going on during the time he was in a coma, and he actually talks about traveling outside of his body, being able to see himself in a coma, being able to recount um, what the medical staff was doing while he was unconscious. So he describes traveling through this tunnel of light, being led by beings of light, and feeling overwhelming love, and describing heaven, what he experienced as heaven, and knowing that this was heaven, but there was no verbal communication or affirmation of this. It was like a telepathic type of communication during this state. He stated that God spoke to him telepathically, described the flowers and the colors to be so much more bright, vibrant than anything you would see in an earthly realm. And lastly of all, I would like to talk about what I think science proves, at least a part of us never cease to exist. I believe that the law of conservation of energy says that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Energy can only be transformed from one form to another. And this is scientific, this is physics stating this, that humans are comprised of energy and matter. And like I said, energy can never be destroyed, it can only be transferred from one form to another. So, this information can be found at www.futurism.com in the article by Jamie Trosper. In conclusion, I hope that I at least prompted you to open your mind about the possibilities of the afterlife. I think everybody should take a moment to think about what our purpose on this world really is. Is it just to reproduce and die? There has to be something more. And I believe that if you examine the facts and do your own research, you will agree with me. I discussed the similarities of several religions regarding life after death, recounts of a near death experience by a medical professional, and what the science through physics states regarding the matter. I think it's important that everyone keeps an open mind regarding the unknowns, especially regarding life after death. In conclusion, I would just like to tell everybody to live a life full of love and gratitude while on this earth, and you won't have to worry about going to anywhere negative. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.